Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Koi Shafi. I will share my experience of my real life, and I will tell the flow of my journey to this university. I used to go to school in a village when there was no one who knew. It was possible to say that the Islamic school in the village of Tegal Telaga was also a village next to my village. At first I wanted to go to favorite school in my village, but since my mother took at the Islamic school, I was finally sent her. At first I was a bit resentful of school there, but with friends my friends were able to adjust and happy there, and me too sometimes get achievements there, alhamdulillah. When I was in grade 3, I did the custom of Islam where I circumcised it, and I was spoke bicycle for the first time, and I found happy myself. And since grade 3 to 6 I left school wearing my new bicycle. After I will when I continue my education at the Sanawiyah Madrasah, where it was also in a village. I pursued the lesson in the school and finally graduated on time, 3 years. Then I continue my education because my family was an educated person, so my parents strongly encouraged me to continue until success later. Amin. I continue at the Brebes Aliyah Madrasah, which is famous as Man Satu Brebes. Maybe her I initially did not like this school because before I already registered at Man Satu Tegal and already received territory. My father instead encouraged me at Man Satu Brebes. This incident was an incident when I being in Madrasah Ibtidayah student position, maybe when I received my ME because I didn't know anything, and now I am already big. Maybe the outlook is different, and after I found it to be happier. For example, the student council, and there are many more there. I feel happy a lot. Can join the OSIS. Perspective has begun to change, which was once I was narrow minded. Now I can think broadly and not blame in on perspective, so that when class 2 Man 1 was entrusted as chairman of the student council of Man 1 Brebes, and my father was proud there. I also became an outstanding student until I was very well forward several times, namely representative of my associate student, outstanding student, enter PTN, enter PTKN, enter PMDK. I really felt great to be in that position. There was problem when I went to college. First I wanted to study academics in Cepu, Blora, with a mining engineering department of petroleum engineering, but in my heart I said even though my parents were capable of choose good at academics, it was very expensive and didn't want to burden my parents because there were a lot of things that made me feel cruelty to my parents. Finally, I joined the program there. Actually, I wanted to go to UPN Veteran Kerja with the same majors as in Akamigas, and I tried it, and one of the college I chose was UNNES because of I think informatic engineering department of want to be a successful programming and can work in large companies in Indonesia. After my announcement was received at UNNES, next time I also passed the PAN PTKN in UIN Walisongo and PMDK FNE also escaped at the Bandung Polytechnic. I feel confused but told my father to continue at UNNES. My little heart said if yes, according to parents, maybe that is why. But finally I took care of further registration in UNNES. After I finished, I started studying at UNNES, and before that there were events which might not be forgotten by students, namely ospec. After department, but after a while I went through, I found someone who was a great motivator in my life and found something that made me feel at home here, namely the organization in FMIPA UNNES KETSA and also BEM FMIPA UNNES, my dream. After that I wanted to be important person. At last I become an important official in that organization. Even though I was not an outstanding student, and also a friend of mine who give a new spirit in my life. Maybe it's my real life journey that is also complicated, but here I will try to be sincere and keep up with what God has given. Maybe it's my real life journey that is so complicated, but here I will try be sincere and keep up with what God has given me. Okay, thank you. Dadah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ainul Afif. On this occasion, I will tell you about an unforgettable experience in my life. I will tell you about my experience when I was in 9th grade in MTS Miftahul Falah Jakenan. The distance of my house to school was around 3 kilometers, and every day I went to school riding a bicycle. The time was right when in Ramadan, a day I with my friends back home from school together. Because the weather was very hot, we also decided to rest in the hut in the middle of the rice field. We were resting under a shady tree, and when we were resting, one of our friends playing under a mango tree. He tried to throw a stone at the mango. Suddenly came an angry old man. We were very surprised. We shocked, and he just ran away. We forgot our bicycle, and we decided to return to take our bicycle. That is, we were well scolded by the old man. The old man said that we cannot giving a good example as student. Finally, I represented of my friend to apologize to old man, and I begged that this incident not be reported to our teacher who live in this village. After that, I back to the home, and I am very tired and waiting for breaking the fast.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys, my name is Muhammad Noval Satid. You can call me Satid. I want to tell you about my unforgettable trip in Petung Riono. When after graduating from high school, my friends and I spent holidays with trips to Petung Riono, Pekalongan. I had many impressive during the holidays. When the holidays arrived, my friend and I planned to go to Petung Riono. The place is not too far from where I live, only about 40 kilometers. We leave at 6 a.m. using a motorcycle. We left very early so we could enjoy our holiday longer. This trip takes around 2 hours. Petung Riono is located on a plateau, so during the trip I saw many large trees and many animals such as monkeys, birds and others. The air in Petung Riono is very fresh, unlike in the city area. We must be careful when traveling because the road to Petung Riono is very extreme. We have to go uphill and down the road and winding road. But it all paid off with amazing natural scenery. After arriving at Petung Riono at 8 a.m., my friend and I visit a tourist spot that had not been exposed. There is no entrance ticket, only parking fees. There is a river with clear water. There are many large rivers on the edge. We swam in the river. The water was very cold, so my friend and I couldn't swim long in the river. After I finished swimming, my friend and I head to a place to eat near the river. We have breakfast there. After we have breakfast, my friend and I visit another place. In Petung Riono, there are very many waterfalls, such as Lawe Waterfalls, Muncar Waterfall, and Beijing Waterfall. But we didn't visit the place. We only visit Welwasri. It is one of the places in Petung with beautiful photo spots. There we spent time to taking our pictures and making them unforgettable memories. After the time is 3 p.m., we decided to go home. On the way home, it suddenly rained. But because it was almost late, we continued to go home, and we got home at 6 p.m. Even though it's only one day, but the trip was an unforgettable experience. It's all about my story. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello guys, my name is Tiki Chandra, and now I will tell you about my unforgettable story. So let's begin. It was 2 years ago when I'm at my high school. There is sports lesson. Uh, we are doing swimming lesson at Jatidiri, Semarang. In that place, first we are doing hitting before swimming, and after that we are start the lesson. I can swimming, so it's slightly hard for me, but I'm doing that. The first we are doing like pull our feet at on the well, and we are lounge. When it stopped, I feel like I'm drowning. I can breathe. Uh, yeah, like that. I don't know why, but I have nice friends, so my friend helped me up. Um, we are doing swimming lesson like 2 times every month. Um, After 3 months, there is exam about swimming. Um, we are doing the exam in the pool on near Simpang 5. In there, we are doing exam like swimming 100 meters. Um, when my name was called, I'm doing that. But yeah, I'm in the last position in my class. Um, I don't know why. Maybe because I'm fat, so it's so hard doing swimming. I don't know. The next is like we are enter the swimming pool, and we are doing naik ijak-ijak air. Uh, when my name was called, I'm doing that, but you know what? I can doing that, then I'm drowned. Uh, but my friend helped me, so I can get out from that pool. It was my unforgettable experience because until today I still cannot swim well. Mm, mm, I hope I can swim well later. Okay, the, that's about my unforgettable story. I hope you all enjoy it. Okay, see you.
Mm, When I was in junior high school, my father once took me to go fishing with him at the river on Sunday morning. Mm, he- we had breakfast, fish and ham, and left early in the morning by motorcycle. When we arrived in our plantation, my father parked in motorcycle under 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 mm, under the head. He asked me to cut some dry wood and dry grass or leaves when already set a fire in the center of the fire. He said that the smoke for the fireball scared some dangerous animals like bear and bird to come close to the head, and so it will make us safe. After cleaning some wild grass around the head, father gave me a he and asked me to some soil to when farms. When I already had enough farm, I brought it to my father and we went straight to the river. Mm. When back, the worm on the fishing fishing hook developed and it looked like it it looked like it was well to about to well off the hook, but my father saw that it was mm, okay. I threw the fishing hook into in the river and wait for the fish, the it and the bait. Mm, but ma- but but nothing happened after a while. When I was about to get bored, I saw a big prawn was slowly walking in the water. I placed the fishing hook slowly into the face of the prawn and moved it up and down so the worm sound alive. I need expected it to happen. Suddenly the prawn moved its hand and grabbed the worm on my fishing hook. I lift it very slowly worm it very slowly on very slowly, and the brown was still there, hung it on the worm until I placed it on the ground and I cocked it right away with my hand. My father was so surprised to see it. Before we went home, we took it at the head and enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
I started to learn how to recite Al-Quran when I was 5 years old. My teacher's house is 2 blocks away from my house, so whenever I want to go there, I have to use bicycle. There was so many kids studying with me at the moment, and when the class was over, sometimes we played together before we head back to my house. One day, when the class was over, I went to a park with some of my friends. We were just cycling around the park when suddenly I fell from my bicycle. My body was thrown to a bus. When I tried to get up, I saw a small beehive hanging on the bus. I thought it was empty because it was so small and there is no bee flying around it. The sight is interesting for me, so I decided to touch it. But unfortunately, the hive fell down and broke. Within seconds, a swarm of bees saw up and flew toward me. I panicked and tried to run, but the bees were faster. One of them flew straight to my nose and hit my nose with its sting right in the center of it. It hurt so much that my tears dropped continuously. My nose turned red. My friend tried to help me by swinging their hands toward the bees. After a while, the bees left us. We decided to go home after that. On the way home, my friend told me that my nose was swollen and red. They also said that it was poisoned. When I arrived at home, I saw my nose to my mother and tell her the story. My mother smiled at me and said that it was okay and it was not dangerous. She also said that it was a natural immunization. Ever since that day, I promised to myself that it will never mess around with this anymore. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi there, I'm Dwi Nurmali Dayanti. You must know how I am in the previous video about introduce myself, and sorry for bad quality with the audio. Now I think I try my best for this video. I will tell you about my past experience when I joined some extracurricular in senior high school, and let's start it. My time in senior high school was so colorful when I enrolled to senior high school, I was amazed by the service, facility, and many extracurricular that were promoted in the school. First, I tried to the band for the extracurricular. At the time, I was a guitarist. All the members were friends at school. We all were just amateur player, and we all made a band just for fun. We never wrote our own song, so that we just arranged some songs that we like to play for school event. We ran the band for about 6 months. During that time, we had performed so many times at for school, even like when there was a festival, farewell party, and prom night. One day, our vocalist was sick when we would have a performance. We only have a week to make a decision whether whether to continue the performance with another vocalist or cancel it. Fortunately, we found another vocalist who wanted to join us, a beautiful girl with a beautiful voice. Her coming made our band great. With her voice and her appearance, we were looking like professional band. We were happy, but at the same time sad. What about the previous vocalist? However, he had a great contribution in creating our band. And what we decide for the future of the band, our previous vocalist had recovered from illness, and the new vocalist was still at our band. At the first, we made a new formation using 2 vocalists, and the result was not good. The quality of the vocal of both was so unequal. The girl had the beautiful voice. The combination made us like stupid band, but what we can do, we could not borrow one of those because of the spirit of the band, friendship forever. What we afraid had happened, our vocalists got into conflict, and they had their own reason to be right. We could not do anything. Finally, both of them left the band. I was so sad about it, but what could I do? After the uncompleted incident, we decided to move on, and we never to meet each other. So I decided to change my extracurricular. I was informed there was a movie club. I was very happy to know it because watching movie is my hobby too. When I was kid, furthermore that in the movie club, the activity is not only watching and reviewing a movie together. The most interesting activity was making movie. And finally, left the band. I left the band and joined into the movie club. One day, the leader of the movie club proposed an event to the headmaster. He would like to have a movie festival. He said that the movie festival was not only to expand to the network of the movie club, but it also could promote a good image of our school. After confusing the headmaster, he announced that there was held a meeting with Red. I was very excited to involve in the movie festival. In the meeting, I was shocked that the club leader optional appointed me as the head project. It was an honor for me. On the other side, Um, that would be a very big responsibility upon my shoulder, but I will give my best effort to make the event successful. A month ahead, I provide it in the movie festival. There were many competitions, such as movie making competition, movie soundtrack making, acting competition, and the script writing competition. Even though there were technical problems that I faced to lead the coordination with all committee, while also good at myself from the headmaster and teacher, I never expected, but I got it. I think it's not for me to tell about my story, and thank you for waiting.
Hello.
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning. My name is Alex, and I'm going to tell you about my most memorable story. Actually, I got this task from Mrs. Step, and I'm going to get it done this time. Okay, let's begin. Uh, It was about 10 years ago. It is when I was on a holiday from school. Me and my family went to Medan. We also come to visit uh, Dan Toba, Lake Toba. We can see a lot of things there. We can see wood, and we also can find tiyung fluid that cannot be found anywhere else. It is sweet and sour. Its color is red when red. It's grapefruit. It's grapefruit. And we also can find Medan unique coffee there. Medan had a lot unique food, and that's why I always remember about it. We came to arrive. We came to a river near a mountain there, but I forget what is the name of the river. The river is so clear that we can see the bottom of the river. I swim there, and the water is so refreshing. And the water is drinkable. There are there we visit my uncle house too. His house is big, and the floor made from bricks, and the rooftop made from zinc. There I play football with my uncle's neighbor, and they play so good. Medan is cool compared to Bora. Shortly after, on our way back to home, our car is uh, broken down, so that we have to wait for some hours. I really enjoyed that trip and I wish that I could go there again sometimes. I think enough. Thank you for attention and watching. Goodbye.
Hello friends, my name is Ivan Permana and I make this video for completing English assignment about tell the unforgettable moment. Let's watch it. In every human life, there is always at least an unforgettable childhood experience. This journey creates both good and bad stories. I myself have had a few bad ones at that time. They occurred mostly when I was trying to fit in and find my inner self. One of those stories is when I heard one of my friends. The story taught me a valuable lesson for my future dad. Well, it was one of my unforgettable experience happened to my life when I was a young boy. At that time, I and my friend used to hang out around the tree which was near the playing ground. One of my friend's father had tied a rope tree there and made a swing like stuff for us. Once we swing there one by one peacefully. One of my friends, who was very naughty, tried to trick me. He said to me that it was his turn then. Of course, I denied this statement because I remembered the turn very well. Not accepting my argument, he hit me and I fell down. I stood up and kept asking for my turn again. He hit me and I fell down. I was very angry, and with the frowning eyes, I warned him, if he won't let me swing, I will hit you with the stone. And then he said, whatever. Then I took a small stone in my hand and threw onto him. Without thinking it could hurt his eyes and harm him, I started crying. He started crying and I started swimming. The next day, his mother came to my house complaining my mother and said, see what your son has done to my son. His eyes were bleeding. After that, my mother asked me about the incident and I explained her the whole story. How he hit me and my leg were bleeding and saw her the scratches on my hand, and finally I tell how I threw the stone on him. The lady was still shouting on me and my mother. My mother asked her to bring a stone and let her son hit on my ass. If this could make her son feel better than do that, then she thought for a while and said to my mother, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I spelled so bad word for you. My mother said, they are children and friends. Today they fought and tomorrow they will play together again. Then why we are blaming and shouting? I don't forget this word my mother told her. That day I didn't understand what the meaning of those words was, but when I grew up, I understood. what the man to say. After the incident, I never throw any stone on anybody. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like this video, and see you.